whistleblower who, by a twist of fate, wanted to get his son a job in conservation. And literally one of the heads of the global government conference was sick. He called him and he said, thought it was somebody else from the conference calling, and said, yeah, you can go, and just walked right into this. And that's why it's important you go to government and non-governmental events. Weasel your way in, record it. You won't. I went to a smart growth conference in 1998 in Austin. They had 4,000 people there, mainly from counties and cities, paid by the cities to be there. And they had the heads of the banks going, we're taking everybody's property. They weren't denying it. It was a joke. They were admitting they were criminals. They didn't even deny it. Okay? And I was just, whoa. That's when I really woke up to the environmentalists. I already thought I knew they were just misguided communists. No. These are bankers. Okay, so this next clip is Rothschild Elaborates. Then we'll go through more of these clips and get George Hunt's take on it. Okay, Rothschild Elaborates. We'll play this.
To overcome the chilling, doom-laden prognostications of Dr. Irving Mintzer's greenhouse effect, perhaps it could be possible to utilize CO2, carbon dioxide, one of its main causes, to manufacture dry ice, to maintain the polar caps and the actual temperature of the ice there, and maintain their present temperature. Innovative and modern technology, world waste material, collected and perhaps burnt in volcanic areas or buried so deep in the earth, in the wilderness desert areas of the mid-Sahara where nobody goes, or in the empty quarter in Arabia or the Gobi Desert. But all these ideas and visions, some far-fetched, and above all, the continuation of this Congress needs money.
So they get to take over and ship dry ice. Imagine the money they'd make. Or they will control globally toxic waste being shipped to the Sahara. So they want to control waste management. They want to control private property. And they want to scare the public with far-fetched programs into accepting that the earth must be dying from carbon dioxide because look at all the money we're spending on it. It must be real. Is that an accurate breakdown of what he was really saying there, George Hunt?
Yes. They're creating a demand for dry ice machines, shall we say, through their rhetoric, so that the people will become fearful of Mother Earth crumbling, and they'll give in then to all of these monstrous projects that will cost trillions of dollars, and the elite will be in the front end of these projects, in the maybe as the first investors, and it will grow into a huge monster, and then it'll collapse. And the elite will have pulled themselves out of this project before it collapses. So you're going to see a lot of these ideas coming along that will change the climate. HARP is one example.
That was another point, and we're going to go to break. Long segment coming up and play clip after clip. But clearly it's now declassified. They have weather weapons. They can create, control hurricanes. That's all declassified. We know the White House science czar, John P. Holdren, who's called for global extermination, drugging the water to sterilize us, in his own book, Eco-Science. We know that they're already manipulating the weather to create calamities to scare people into submission. George Hunt, stay there. I'm going to come back and get your take on that on the other side of this quick break. And then we're going to play clip after clip and get quick comments from you about what Rothschild, Strong, and others are saying. They talk about international communism being introduced. This is incredible. 8 minutes into hour number 3, George Hunt was just talking about how they've declassified weather manipulation, weather control systems, and how they can clearly use this to create calamities and then scare the population into submission. That's been one of my biggest concerns. Going back to George Hunt. George, your take on that?
Well, the concern that I have is the E-bomb, the so-called surge bomb.
Electromagnetic pulse weapon.
Yes, you got it. That thing would be easy for any little state like North Korea or Iran or Israel to send a rocket burying an atomic bomb up in the sky about 300 miles, exploding it, and wiping out all of the electricity in line of sight of that explosion. That's the thing that bothers me.
You think the globalists would go that far?
Oh, yes. David Rockefeller has stated, and I checked it on the internet last night, that the world order will not be established until a terrible catastrophe occurs.
Yeah, they all say that continually. He actually said that in the Council on Foreign Relations publication, Foreign Affairs.
That's part of their fear doctrine, huh? Maybe.
Do you want to continue along that line or go to some more clips?
Well, I'd like to follow the line. Let's go to some clips. Let's have Maurice Strong on number 7.
Okay, Maurice Strong announces Rothschild. Then I want to get to Rothschild talking about communism. Okay, here's Maurice Strong.
No, you can play that one.
No. Let's play 7 first. Let's go through these. Here's 7.
There is no better person. He epitomizes in his own life that positive synthesis between environment, conservation on the one hand, and economics on the other. And I'm just delighted to have this opportunity of introducing to you Edmond de Rothschild.
Now, I want to go ahead now and go to clip number 13. I want to play the World Collective again, then some new clips, 14 and others. Here's 13 with Rothschild.
By thinking forward as to how to reach out to the public at large, to every corporate entity throughout the world, to put aside, hopefully tax-free, a part of their profits to fund our ecological and environmental protection.
So tax-free paid to his bank. I have Reuters right here. 20-something years later, here it is happening, giving them money, and then they're tax-free to use it.
That's it. I didn't know that occurred, but I saw the banks tumbling down, and as the banks tumble, they're tumbling to the house of Rothschild. Now, on the last clip you played, or the one before that, did you hear Maurice Strong announce him as the positive synthesis between conservation on one side and growth and development on the other? He is the result of, he controls, in other words, the conservation movement and the economic movement. Rothschild's got it all.
Well, I've seen all the big Rothschilds out of England, the two heads of it, openly writing articles, giving speeches, calling for global governance. We'll play a clip from Bloomberg during Copenhagen coming up. Let's go ahead now and go to clip number 14. Rothschild, Lord Rothschild, International Communism Introduced. Here's that clip.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, every country has its own problems, its indigenous peoples and its wildlife. This International Conservation Bank must know no frontiers, no boundaries. Its funds must be used constructively and not to be challenged into greedy hands or weapons of destruction.
So here are these people always financing revolutions and wars and weapon systems, and you call that communism introduced. Why do you say that?
Yes. In other words, the currency will be used as a communal device because there will be one world currency. And he's saying, too, as I recall in the speech, that each country also has its own indigenous people, and they'll be allowed to have soft currencies, but the currencies will be intermingled. And
yeah, you're going to have a global currency over the regionals, which they're now setting up. It's amazing 23 years later to see all of this actually unfolding. And also Ban Ki-moon, a month and a half ago in the New York Times, Secretary General of the UN, he said all nations will be forced to pay into the UN to fund this. Let's play clip number 15. Rothschild brags. Here it is.
If there are any Japanese in the audience, I would apologize to them, but I've had very great experience in Japan since my family has had connections with them since 1865 after Perry opened them up in 1863.
Let's play another clip. Let's have Michael Sweetman, James Baker quote, clip number 16. Here's Michael Sweetman, James Baker quote. Here it is.
At his keynote address to this Congress, U.S. Treasury Secretary James A. Baker pointed to the, I quote, the underlying reality that sound conservation is good economics. And further, conservation should not be the enemy of prosperity. It should instead sustain and enrich our prosperity. Unquote.